Ever wondered how your brain, a 3-pound organ, manages to control everything you do, think, and feel? This marvel of nature, weighing no more than a bag of sugar, is a sight to behold. It's a crinkled, grayish mass, textured like a walnut and dripping with mystery. Seems pretty simple, right? But don't be fooled by appearances. The brain, small in size but vast in its capabilities, is the most complex organ in our body. It's a powerhouse of activity, a labyrinth of billions of neurons working tirelessly day in and day out. It's like an intricate network, a bustling city, or an orchestra playing a symphony. All of that wrapped up in a soft, jelly-like substance that fits neatly inside your skull. So how does this mass of jelly-like substance control everything we do, think, and feel? Let's dive in. Scene script. Peek inside your skull, and you will find the brain, divided into 3 main parts. This magnificent organ, the command center of the human body, is a complex network of intricate parts, each performing a unique function. These 3 major sections are the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brainstem. Let's start with the cerebrum. This is the largest part of the brain, occupying about 2/3 of its volume. It's the part you probably picture when you think of a brain. All those squiggly lines and grooves, like a labyrinth of thoughts and ideas. And that's pretty much what it is. The cerebrum is responsible for all your conscious thoughts and your voluntary actions. It's where you process sensory information, like the taste of your favorite food or the sound of your favorite song. It's also where higher functions like reasoning, language, and problem-solving take place. Next up is the cerebellum. Tucked away under the cerebrum at the back of your brain, it's much smaller, but don't let its size fool you. The cerebellum is a motor control maestro. It's in charge of your balance, coordination, and the precision of your movements. When you're dancing, playing sports, or even just reaching for a cup, it's the cerebellum that's ensuring you don't trip over your own feet or knock over that cup. Now let's move on to the brainstem. It's the smallest but arguably the most vital part of the brain. It's the bridge connecting your brain to your spinal cord, and it's in charge of all the automatic functions that keep you alive. Breathing, heart rate, blood pressure, the brainstem handles them all without you even having to think about it. Each part of the brain has a unique role, yet they all work together seamlessly. But how? Well, hold on to your seats because we're about to dive into the brain's intricate communication network in the next scene. Get ready to be amazed by the incredible workings of the human brain. The secret lies in the brain's communication network, a vast network of cells called neurons. Now, if you're wondering what neurons are, they're essentially the brain's messengers, tirelessly working to transmit information throughout the body. Imagine neurons as the brain's very own postal service, except they don't deliver letters or parcels. They deliver messages in the form of electrical and chemical signals. Each neuron is like a tiny biodome of activity, buzzing with information that it's ready to pass on. Let's delve a little deeper into how these neurons work. Each neuron has a cell body, dendrites, and an axon. The cell body is the neuron's control center, while the dendrites are like the neuron's antennae, receiving signals from other neurons. The axon, on the other hand, is like a superhighway, allowing these signals to travel from one neuron to another. The process of communication is fascinating. When a neuron receives a signal, it generates an electrical pulse. This pulse travels down the axon, reaching the end where it triggers the release of chemical messengers called neurotransmitters. These neurotransmitters then make the leap across a tiny gap called a synapse to the next neuron's dendrites, and the process repeats. This is how neurons transmit information, enabling different parts of the brain to communicate with each other and the rest of the body. Now you might be thinking, that sounds like a lot of work for one little cell. And you're absolutely right. But remember, a single human brain contains about 100 billion neurons, all working together in a beautifully orchestrated symphony of communication. This complex network of neurons allows us to do everything from catching a ball to solving a math problem. It's what makes us react when we touch something hot or feel happy when we see a loved one. Imagine billions of neurons firing signals at lightning speed to keep you functioning. But what fuels these neurons? Every machine needs fuel to run, and so does the brain. Its fuel comes in the form of glucose and oxygen. Like a high-performance sports car, the brain demands a disproportionate amount of the body's energy resources. Although it only makes up about 2% of our body weight, it consumes a whopping 20% of the energy we take in. That's like a tiny smart car guzzling gas at the rate of a giant SUV. So where does this energy come from? The answer is glucose and oxygen, the brain's equivalent of gasoline and air. Through the intricate network of blood vessels, these essential fuels are transported to every nook and cranny of the brain. Glucose, a simple sugar, is the brain's primary source of energy. It powers the brain's neurons, the cells responsible for transmitting information throughout the body. These neurons are like the brain's spark plugs, igniting the processes that allow us to think, feel, and act. Oxygen, on the other hand, acts as a catalyst in the energy-producing process. Without it, the glucose wouldn't be able to release the energy stored within its molecules. It's like trying to start a fire without air. It just won't work. So in essence, the brain is an energy-hungry machine, powered by glucose and oxygen, delivered to it via the bloodstream. This fuel allows the brain to perform its complex tasks and maintain its central role in the body. So, the brain has structure, a communication network, and fuel, but what about its software? Our brain's software is its ability to change and adapt, a feature known as neuroplasticity. Just as a computer's software can be updated and upgraded, our brains too have the ability to change and adapt. This remarkable feature, known as neuroplasticity, is what allows our brains to constantly evolve and grow throughout our lives. Imagine the brain as a dense forest filled with countless trees. These trees represent our brain cells or neurons. The branches of each tree represent the neural connections, pathways through which our thoughts and memories travel. Every time we learn something new or experience something different, new branches form. This is neuroplasticity in action. But it's not just about creating new connections. Neuroplasticity also plays a crucial role in healing and recovery. If part of the brain becomes damaged, for instance, from a stroke or trauma, other parts of the brain can step in and take over the functions that were lost. This is like regrowing a part of the forest that has been damaged. Neuroplasticity is the brain's way of ensuring that it remains functional and efficient, regardless of what life throws at it. It's a testament to the brain's incredible resilience and adaptability. The brain indeed is a marvel of nature, a complex organ made simple by understanding its structure, communication network, fuel, and software.